Julie, who is the co-owner and curator of the Olins Covered Bridge Museum. Good morning. Thanks for letting us come into your home.
You're welcome.
So my first question is, how did you get involved with covered bridges, which is such a cool thing in Ashtabula County?
Well, I live in Plymouth Township on Dewey Road, and my grandmother was an Olin. She was born and raised on the other side of the Dewey Road Covered Bridge in 1900. Her family had owned property there since 1861, and she was born in 1900. So that's where her interest in bridges stemmed from. And from there, she was a local resident all of her life, and from there she collected covered bridges and covered bridge memorabilia most of her life. Because of that, we are left with a multitude of covered bridge items and memorabilia, and we just, at the time of her passing, we knew we couldn't just get rid of it, and it meant a lot to her, and the family had talked about having a museum. My mother had always urged my grandmother to have a museum, and she just never did. And so when the time came, that's what we did. And so I sort of fell into it. I own and operate the museum with my uncle, Barry Botler, who is Naomi Olin's son. And we've been doing it since 2003.
Awesome. So even though it initially wasn't a museum, when your grandmother had all this stuff, you sort of inherited the museum.
Exactly.
You just had to put the label on it.
Yeah. The bridge itself was built in 1871, so my grandmother was able to, her family was able to be there, being that they had owned property since 1861. The bridge was built in 1873. And so then later, when she was born in 1900, everything just kind of stuck, and the family stayed, and the area itself, there's a big hill leading down to the bridge that used to be referred to as Olins Hollow, and that was Olins Hill. And but I should tell you that the bridge was not Olins Bridge until much, much, much later. It was always known as Dewey Road Bridge. Yeah. So that happened in 1981. My grandfather, Naomi's husband, when he passed, they were unsure what they would do with the funds from the funeral that people had offered. And the family, his sisters, and she all agreed that the bridge was in need of some repairs, and it needed some work. The roof wasn't getting in bad shape again, and some fascias needed work, and some siding replaced. And so they took the funds from his funeral and did the work. And the neighbors, the family, Mr. Smolin was involved. They all got together and they did the work. And it was literally a neighborhood and family project.
Oh, that is the best thing when community comes together. I love it.
Yes. In 1981, when the project was completed, they presented my grandmother with a sign that said Olins Bridge. And that's when it became Olins Bridge. So it went a long time being known as Dewey Road Bridge. The bridge has gone through many different phases. It went from being a single span bridge to a double span bridge over the years. They've added a support. The face of the bridge has changed drastically, as at many of the bridges in the county. Thankfully, due to Mr. Smolin's careful attention to the bridges in the county.
There is a lot of engineering that goes into the covered bridges. I did not realize that until we did an out and about with State Representative John Patterson.
Yes.
Of course, Mr. Smollen's name came up, and
Absolutely.
we do have an interview scheduled with him, so keep your fingers crossed. But yeah, there's a lot that goes into it architecturally and in the engineering of these, what appears to be just cute little bridges.
Oh, absolutely. What I tell my visitors when they come, because our family and I are so appreciative of what he's done for our county and our bridges. I just say, you know, starting with that first bridge, the first new bridge built in the county since, I think it was the 1920s, was the State Road Covered Bridge in Conneaut, and Mr. Smollen was responsible for that. He started there, and when that bridge was completed, that's when the very first Covered Bridge Festival was held, and from that point we've had Covered Bridge Festivals every year. But he went on from that year to go through the county and literally refurbish the bridges that needed refurbished, give any work that needed to be done to bring them up to modern standards if it needed done. There are a few, there's just a couple left that are still in their original form, and absolutely precious testaments to the structure of the covered bridge and how strong they were and how, you know, they could withstand the test of time.
Yeah, they certainly have.
Absolutely. So there were a couple that he left, and actually one of them is bypassed. You can still drive over it. It has a 4-ton weight limit, but you can drive over it or bypass it. But most of them have been refurbished and brought to modern standards, and we're very fortunate. Ashtabula County has 19 covered bridges. We are the covered bridge capital of Ohio. Yay, us! And we have the longest, of course,
Yes.
the Smollen Bridge, named in honor of John Smollen, being the longest in the United States, 613 feet long, 93 feet above the riverbed. It is a majestic sight, especially in the fall. And then the shortest one in Geneva, 18
Yes.
feet long, the Liberty Street Bridge. So we have an amazing claim to covered bridges here in Ashtabula County, and we're very proud of it. So, yeah.
It's a very rich history, and normally I know that there is a covered bridge festival, but in light of the happenings in the world right now, that has been canceled for this year. Now that has been going on again since when?
Since 1980. Oh my goodness, Ginger is going to. I don't remember if it's 83 or 84. I'm sorry, Ginger. It was either
A really
83 or
long
84.
time. Yes. So
Yeah.
since the early 80s, this is the
Yeah.
first year that it's not happened, because I know that over the years that we have seen everything from, you know, beautiful almost Indian summer type things to,
Yeah.
oh look, snow's here already.
Yes, just maybe
Um,
10 years ago or so, we were pelted with giant snow, and you know, other times it's so hot you just can't bear it. But it's well worth the weekend, and the visitors are always just so enthusiastic about the bridges, and they love to be out there, and they enjoy every moment of it. It will be sadly missed this year, and I just pray for, you know, for the county and the Covered Bridge Festival committee who works so hard. You could never imagine how hard that Covered Bridge Festival committee works to bring that festival to the community and to the outside community, and to make it a good thing and a positive thing for us here in Ashtabula County. It is so sad to see it not taking place this year. We just hope that next year's a better year.
Next year's a better year. Because you guys also, I know in the past when I've, you know, done a few stops during Covered Bridge Festivals, there's a lot of community partnerships going on. There, you know, a lot of different organizations kind of camp out at a particular bridge and, you know, have some fun information or
Usually
different
each
things?
bridge, we try to make it so that each bridge is sponsored by a certain organization, whether it would be a church or a Girl Scout or Cub Scout group or what have you. Each bridge has its own thing going on, and there may be crafts, or there may be food items, or like the Benetka Road Bridge. We have a wonderful family who has their team of horses and gives rides, and it's magical. It's almost as magical as Christmas time, the Covered Bridge Festival. I mean, and the leaves, the second weekend in October, it couldn't be a more amazing time.
It is. It's a peak, beautiful time in Ashtabula County. So even though the Covered Bridge Festival isn't happening, you're still able to go out, tour those bridges. You kind of do it at your own pace. Maybe you want to spread it out over a couple weekends.
Yes.
But there's definitely, like you said, I think the coolest thing about the bridges is that, you know, they're all, you know, unique, that they're all in Ashtabula County, and that's fabulous. But that each one kind of has its own story behind it.
They do. And I would encourage, even though the festival isn't taking place, I would encourage everyone to go out. You can go to coveredbridgefestival.org online.
I'll put that in the comments for you.
And they have on there, I believe that you can either look at, or even they will mail you a map of the bridges in the county. You could probably also find the map through the Visitors Bureau in Austinburg. And it takes you to all the different bridges and tells you a little bit about each bridge, all the stats on each bridge. Be sure to look in each bridge. There's a little plaque. Each bridge will have a blue plaque inside of it, and that is the bridge's each one's special identification number. The first number stands for the state. The second number stands for the county, and the third number stands for the bridge itself in the order that it was either built or found or what have you. So, and that is something that was put into place, I believe, in the late 50s, because Ashtabula County has bridge researchers have documenting as many as, I believe it was 80 some covered bridges in Ashtabula County over the last 150 years. And we are down to 12 of the 19 bridges we have now are original antiques.
Wow.
And then the remainder are new since 1983 or 4, since the State Road Covered Bridge was built. Those, we've added new ones. But only 12 of our bridges are original antiques. So to go from those 80 some covered bridges down to 12 originals, it gives you an idea how they disappeared due to either weather, wear, or vehicular damage, that kind of thing, arson.
Oh.
Yeah, we've lost so many bridges over the years. And so those identification numbers were put in place so that they would be registered and recorded in your engineer's office. They all have a special place in the books, and they will not be lost to time anymore, because I've spoken to the folks that have done the research on the bridges, and what tedious work it was to find.
Wow. To do that research, that's
Yeah.
amazing. So this is just so cool, because we have this wonderful piece of history right here in Ashtabula County. It's something very exclusive, to the entire country, because again, we have the biggest. But just the rich history that goes into, documenting that, keeping track of it.
Absolutely.
And now a lot of hardworking folks making sure that those remaining bridges don't go away like the rest of those. That's just
that
wonderful.
is
I love
key.
that.
It's key, and we're losing them even today. Pennsylvania's lost bridges over the last few years, and it's just so sad to see. And people do have a tendency to try to damage or vandalize the bridges. It seems to be a thing. And the Covered Bridge Festival committee watches out over the bridges and tries to help in making decisions for the betterment of each bridge. And they're just like a Friends of the Covered Bridge group. They're just always trying to just be there and do what they can in favor.
They're like the bridge's guardian
treasures.
angels. How cool is that?
Yes, exactly.
If there's one thing that you would like people to take away from this today or know about either your own family history or the Covered Bridge history, what would that be?
History. The history's in your books. The history of the bridges. It's in the pictures. Pictures that family members have, and so much history has been dug up and saved on our bridges due to pictures that aunts, uncles, grandmas, great-grandmas
That were stuck up in that box up
found
in the attic.
in that suitcase in the attic. So when you come across those pictures, don't toss them. Bring them to researchers, historical societies, or Covered Bridge Festival committee, or they'll put it in the hands of the right person, because the history of the bridges, it can be lost with computers, it can be lost. I'm just really big on saving things on paper, and I encourage people just to hold on to those treasures that are hidden in the closets and attics.
Yes,
The
definitely.
special. That's special.
Don't throw that stuff out. Well, again, thank you for letting us come and hang out with you today and just enjoy this wonderful atmosphere and educating us about the bridges. I have put in a call, so hopefully when this video airs, we should have maps at the library. And if we do, I will put those down in the comments for you so that you can take your own unofficial Covered Bridge tour.
Absolutely.
And hopefully we'll be checking in with you next year to talk about what the big plans are for Covered Bridge Festival next year.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.